Alright, this is video number 18. In this video, we'll get to some Danhauser exercises with flats and see modulation into F major we haven't seen before. And we'll also be finishing up the syllable exercises in Dandelot, which are solely in treble and bass clef. Later we'll get to some exercises which jump between treble and bass clef, and then I want to start practicing alto clef as well. So let's go ahead and take a look at exercise number 48 in treble clef in the Dandelot. Looks like this. I'm going to take it a lot slower than Dandelot recommends because it's really kind of only a goal, I would say, to get it as fast as he recommends. We'll go ahead and take it about like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'll give you a count of 6 like that. Try to group the syllables into groups of 6 if possible. I think any groups much larger than 6, it could start to get pretty difficult to manage. 6 might be sort of a maximal number. I suppose 8 might be possible, but we're extending the size of the groups. So let's go ahead and put a little accent on the first syllable of each group. And if you feel like the tempo I'm taking is still too fast, then you might go ahead and pause the video and practice it a bit at your own tempo and see if you can keep up after doing that. Also, you might try to utilize the recovery method. It's good practice for seeing with other people if you can recover, as I've said before. Okay, let's go ahead and do this one then. Give you a count of 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Do, mi, re, do, si, la, sol, do, si, la, sol, fa, mi, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do, si, do, mi, re, mi, sol, fa, sol, do, si, do, re, mi, re, sol, la, sol, mi, re, mi, sol, la, sol, do, re, si, do, la, si, sol, la, sol, mi, fa, re, mi, do, sol, do, mi, sol, fa, re, si, sol, fa, re, si, re, fa, mi, sol, mi, do, sol, mi, re, sol, si, re, do, la, fa, sol, fa, re, si, do, si, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do, si, la, sol, mi, do, do, mi, sol, si, re, sol, fa, re, do, fa, la, sol, re, fa, mi, si, re, do, sol, mi, do, sol, mi, do. Alright, now let's take a similar example in bass clef and look at it, and we'll take it at about the same tempo. Again, thinking in groups of 6. Looks like this. So I'll go ahead and give you a count of 6 as I did before. Let's go ahead and do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Do, si, do, sol, fa, sol, mi, do, si, do, sol, la, si, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, si, do, mi, do, si, do, re, fa, mi, do, re, mi, do, sol, mi, fa, la, sol, fa, mi, fa, mi, do, si, re, fa, re, mi, do, re, fa, mi, la, sol, mi, do, sol, fa, re, do, si, re, do, mi, fa, mi, la, sol, si, do, fa, la, fa, do, sol, mi, do, si, re, do, sol, mi, do. And let's go ahead and look at the final exercise in treble clef in Dandelot's book, which is number 50. So I'm skipping 49. Recommend you do that one, though. Let's go ahead and take a look at it. Looks like this. You can see lots of leaps, but some stepwise parts too. Intervals are pretty mixed. Lots of stuff going on here. Some compound intervals in the second system you can see. All right, let's go ahead and do this one too. About the same tempo. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Re, fa, la, re, do, si, la, sol, mi, do, la, si, do, re, fa, re, mi, do, re, fa, re, la, fa, re, do, la, sol, mi, do, la, sol, fa, mi, re, fa, la, do, mi, la, si, do, si, la, re, si, la, fa, la, sol, mi, fa, re, fa, mi, si, mi, do, la, si, do, re, fa, sol, la, si, mi, re, do, mi, re, mi, do, re, fa, si, la, sol, si, la, mi, fa, si, la, do, mi, re, fa, la, re. And let's go ahead and look at the last one in bass clef too, which is number 50. Looks like this. Lots of leaps, more than in treble clef, which is fitting for the range, because often, especially like in orchestral scores and such, you see more wider leaps in the bass or wider intervals, that things are a little bit more spaced out in the bass because things can get muddy if they're close together. So let's go ahead and do this one as well. Take it about the same tempo, give you a count of 6. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Fa, do, la, do, mi, do, sol, do, re, si, sol, fa, sol, si, do, sol, mi, re, sol, fa, mi, sol, mi, re, do, sol, re, si, sol, fa, re, do, mi, sol, mi, re, fa, sol, do, sol, fa, mi, sol, fa, sol, re, sol, si, re, sol, do, mi, la, sol, fa, re, do, si, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do, sol, la, si, do, mi, sol, do, re, mi, fa, la, do, mi, sol, mi, do, sol, mi, sol, fa, re, do, si, do, mi, fa, mi, re, do, re, sol, la, sol, do, mi, re, sol, la, sol, mi, do, sol, fa, do, la, sol, la, si, re, sol, fa, mi, re, mi, do, sol, mi, do. Alright, and that's going to do it for the Dandelot. Next time we'll look at our first examples in alto clef and try some of the examples that switch between treble and bass as well, which is good practice for score reading. Let's go ahead and get to a Danhauser exercise. Nothing really extremely new that goes on in this one. We'll just use it to kind of warm ourselves up. We'll see a modulation into G major, and let's just take a look at it. So it looks like this. I'm not going to use any grace notes in this one. You might put some in yourself, but what I am going to do is go ahead and highlight the parts that contain modulations, or the parts in different keys than our C major, which we're always in. So you can see I highlighted the 2nd through the 4th system, and I've also put some stop signs in because those are the places where I'm going to orient myself to a new key that I'm modulating to. In the 2nd system, you can see that we're in G major from that point, so we're going to go ahead and stop there and do a G major warm-up. So if you remember, the G major warm-up looks like this. Sol, si, re, mi, do, la, fa, sol. And then we'll go ahead and do the C major warm-up also when we get to the 2nd stop sign in the 5th system. Let's take a look at it again. So you can see in the 4th system we have a short part that kind of touches on A minor. And I'm not going to stop there. It's kind of a more awkward place to stop, but what I am going to do is go ahead and add a grace note A that you see there before the G sharp, because we're basically going to be tuning that G sharp to the A, and that'll kind of help us get a hang of the A minor that's going to occur there, which is basically the 2nd degree of G major. And then we go right back to G major after that. So it really quickly touches on it. That's another reason I didn't really want to stop there. But let's go ahead and do this one. We'll first do a quick warm-up in C major. Do, mi, sol, la, fa, re, si, do. Alright, we're going to take this one a little bit slower. I'm not going to take any of the repeats. Let's take it, instead of 76 beats per minute, at 55. And we're going to go ahead and conduct a 2 pattern as is indicated. So that's going to be about like this. 1 and 2 and. Alright, so I'll give you a ready and a full measure, and then we'll come in on the do. First notes, do. Here we go. Ready and. Do, mi, sol, fa, mi, re, do, sol, fa, mi, re, do, re, mi, do, sol, mi, re. Stop. Sol, si, re, mi, do, la, fa, sol. Ready, and. Sol, la, si, do, re, si, do, si, la, sol, si, la, fa, sol, si, la. Re, sol, si, sol, mi, sol, la, sol, fa, la, si, do, si, la, sol, si, la, fa, sol, sol, si, re, si, la, sol, do, la, fa, re, mi, fa, sol, si, mi, fa, la, sol, la, do, fa, sol, si, la, si, do, re, si, re. Stop. Do, mi, sol, la, fa, re, si, do. Ready, and do, sol, la, sol, fa, mi, re. Do, mi, sol, do, si, re, si, sol, fa, mi, do, sol, mi, fa, re, mi. Do, mi, sol, do, si, re, do, mi, re, si, sol, fa, mi, do, sol, mi, fa, re, si, do. All right, let's go ahead and go to example number 93. We're going to see some more chromaticism like we saw in the last video. Looks like this. I'm going to go ahead and put in a bunch of grace notes, actually. So you can see I basically put them in where we're going to be tuning those sharp notes to the notes of the C major scale, which lie above them, as we always do. And basically I'm going to do that throughout. Only in the last system am I going to get a little bit more relaxed and leave some of the grace notes out for the last few measures, as hopefully our ear has gotten used to them. You could put them in if you want. But let's go ahead and do this one at the tempo indicated. We'll be conducting a 4 pattern. 92 is about like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, let's go ahead and do it. First notes, do. Ready, and do, mi, sol, do, sol, la, re, do, si, la, sol, fa, mi. Do, re, la, re, do, mi, re, do, si, do. Re, si, do, re, mi, re, do, si. Re, mi, si, re, do, si, do. Do, la, si, do, si, la. Do, re, la, do, si. Re, mi, re, do, si, la, sol, fa, sol. Do, mi, sol, do, sol, la, si, re, do, si, la, sol, fa, mi. Sol, la, fa, sol, mi, re, do, si, do, re, mi, re, do, mi, do, mi, re, do, mi, do. All right, so that's that one. When I say to tune these sharp notes to the notes of the C major scale, which lie directly above them, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be pulling up the pitch any. Those notes of the C major scale are supposed to act as reference points. Your actual tuning of those sharp notes is going to be dependent on who you're singing with. If you're singing in a choir, for example, let's say you have an F sharp, which is part of a D major chord, that F sharp is actually probably going to be a little bit lower than it would on the piano due to the overtone series, which I won't get into now. And if you're playing with a piano, it might be, well, it should be basically exactly what the piano is playing. So think about that. But let's go ahead and move on to our first example where we're actually going to see a flat, which is B flat. And let's go ahead and take a look at it. Looks like this. We're going to be conducting this in 3/8, so we'll conduct a 3 pattern. It's not incredibly fast, 112. But let's first put in a grace note and highlight the part of this which is actually an F major. I'm going to put a stop sign there as well, and we're going to go ahead and do an F major warm-up. And we haven't seen the F major warm-up yet. It looks like this and sounds like this. Fa, la, do, re, si, sol, mi, fa. So we're going to go ahead and sing that when we get to that third system. And you can see that I added a grace note in the 5th measure, a grace note A in front of that B flat. That's because when we have these flatted notes, we're going to do the opposite that we did with the sharps. We're going to be intoning them to the notes which lie below them in the C major scale. So if we have a B flat, we're going to tune it basically to A. And if we have an A flat, we're going to tune it to the G. And the same applies what I said before. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to drag the pitch down any. Your tuning is going to be dependent on the context in which you're singing, like I said. If you're playing with a piano, you're going to want to sing basically an equal temperament as much as possible, like the piano. If you're singing with a choir, let's say you have a C minor chord and you've got the E flat, actually might be a little bit higher than the E flat on the piano. But let's go ahead and do this one. I'll give you a count of 3, and then we'll come in on the Do. Let's go ahead and do a quick C major warm-up. Do, mi, sol, la, fa, re, si, do. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, si, do, sol. Do, si, la, si, la, si, do, si, si, la, si, la, si, la, si, la, si, la, si, la. Si, do, re, sol, do, mi, re, si, do. Stop. Fa, la, do, re, si, sol, mi, fa. 1, 2, 3. Do, do, si, la, sol, fa, la, si, do, re, do, si, la, si, sol, fa. Do, do, si, la, sol, fa, la, si, do, re, do, si, la, si, sol, fa. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, si, do, sol. Do, si, la, si, la, si, do, si, si, la, si, la, si, la, si, la, si, la, si, la. Si, do, re, sol, do, mi, re, si, do. All right, so let's go ahead and look at the very next example, which contains an E flat. Looks like this. And it says at the top, exercises for intoning C flat and Mi flat. This is a problem we've seen before. I don't see any C flat in this, so we're going to go ahead and do it just like it's written. I'm actually going to not put in any grace notes, as basically the grace notes I would have used in this would have been probably Re, which lies below the Mi flat. And those are already basically there, which makes it a little bit easier for us. So let's go ahead and do this one and take it at the tempo indicated. It's kind of a short example, not so complicated. So let's go ahead and do it. Do, mi, sol, la, fa, re, si, do. So we're going to have do, re, mi, be practicing that. Okay, let's go ahead and do it. Ready, and do, re, mi, fa, mi, re, mi, re, mi, re. Mi, re, mi, re, mi, re, mi, re, mi, re, mi, fa, sol, la, si, do, re, mi, 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 re, do, si, la, sol, fa, mi, re, sol, do. All right, that's going to do it for this video. Next time we will get to alto clef, as I mentioned, and take a look at some Dandelot exercises that leap between treble and bass clef as well. And we'll get to some Danhauser exercises which contain more flats, and also see our first example, which is actually in a different key, finally, which will be A minor. But until then, happy sight singing.